Before that fateful day, America often portrayed itself through images of bustling cityscapes and the quiet rhythm of everyday life. A sense of normalcy prevailed, defining a nation absorbed in its own concerns and aspirations. This was the landscape of the early 21st century, a picture of peace for many. Then, the world changed with horrifying speed. Shocking events unfolded, leaving behind scenes of dust-covered faces and flags lowered to half-mast in mourning. The sheer scale of the tragedy was almost impossible to comprehend in its immediate aftermath. September 11, 2001 stands as a date etched into the collective memory of a nation. It marked a brutal turning point, shattering a perceived sense of security and ushering in an era of profound global change. This day redefined America and the world. Our focus today explores how 9/11 reshaped the United States, altered global dynamics, and fundamentally transformed the presidency of George W. Bush. It is a story of national trauma, immediate response, and enduring consequences. The horror began at 8:46 a.m. Eastern Time. American Airlines Flight 11, hijacked by terrorists, deliberately crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. The impact was immense, igniting an inferno and shocking onlookers worldwide. Minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 struck the South Tower. This second impact confirmed that the initial crash was not an accident, sending a wave of terror and disbelief across the nation and the globe. The twin symbols of American economic power were under deliberate attack. At 9:37 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon, the headquarters of the U.S. Department of Defense, near Washington, D.C. This strike demonstrated the coordinated nature of the assault, targeting both economic and military symbols of American strength. Meanwhile, United Airlines Flight 93, also hijacked, crashed into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania at 10:03 a.m. Passenger resistance is believed to have prevented the hijackers from reaching their intended target, likely the U.S. Capitol or the White House. The bravery of those on board saved countless more lives. In total, nearly 3,000 lives were tragically lost on September 11th. These victims included civilians, first responders, and military personnel from over 90 nations. Their deaths represented an unfathomable human cost for a single day. The immediate impact on the United States was one of profound shock and grief. The nation was stunned, grappling with an attack of unprecedented scale on its own soil. Daily life came to an immediate halt as people struggled to process the unfolding horror. Globally, the response was one of widespread shock, grief, and solidarity. Nations around the world condemned the attacks unequivocally. Expressions of sympathy and offers of assistance poured into the United States from every continent. As the nation reeled from the attacks, President George W. Bush addressed a grieving country. His words conveyed a mixture of sorrow, resolve, and a powerful sense of national unity. He sought to reassure a traumatized populace. In his remarks, President Bush issued a clear vow of retribution. He promised to hunt down and punish those responsible for these heinous acts. This declaration set a firm tone for the national response that would follow. Within days, the president declared a war on terror, signaling a new global conflict. This was not a war against a specific nation, but against a shadowy network of non-state actors. The scope of this new war was immediately apparent. A primary focus shifted to national security, leading to the rapid implementation of heightened security measures. Airports, borders, and critical infrastructure immediately saw increased vigilance. The feeling of vulnerability permeated daily life. Internationally, efforts were initiated to coordinate a global response to this new threat. Alliances were reinforced and new partnerships forged as the world grappled with the implications of transnational terrorism. The need for collective action was clear. Bush's leadership during this crisis was marked by both resolve and empathy. He emerged as a unifying figure, bringing together a traumatized populace under a shared sense of purpose. His demeanor provided a steady hand in a time of profound uncertainty. The United States, with significant global backing, initiated the war on terror in the weeks following 9/11. A broad international coalition formed, united in the immediate goal of countering this new form of global threat. Solidarity among nations was at a peak. Al-Qaeda, led by Osama bin Laden, was quickly identified as the primary target and the orchestrator of the 9/11 attacks. Their ideology and operational structure posed an unprecedented challenge to traditional warfare. The focus was clear: dismantle this terrorist organization. In October 2001, the invasion of Afghanistan began. This military campaign had two primary objectives. First, to dismantle al-Qaeda's operational capabilities and leadership. Second, the invasion aimed to remove the Taliban regime from power. The Taliban had provided sanctuary and support to al-Qaeda within Afghanistan, making their removal critical to achieving counterterrorism goals. This marked the beginning of a long engagement. Domestically, the U.S. government undertook a significant restructuring of its security apparatus. This included the creation of the Department of Homeland Security in November 2002. This was an unprecedented consolidation of federal agencies. The Department of Homeland Security's purpose was to coordinate domestic security efforts across various agencies. It aimed to prevent future attacks, protect critical infrastructure, and respond to emergencies. Its creation fundamentally altered the federal government's structure. In the weeks following 9/11, Congress passed the Patriot Act with overwhelming support. This legislation significantly expanded the government's surveillance powers. It allowed for greater monitoring of communications and financial transactions. The Patriot Act immediately sparked a robust debate regarding the balance between national security and individual freedoms. Critics voiced concerns about potential infringements on civil liberties. Supporters argued it was a necessary tool to prevent further attacks. This period also raised profound ethical and legal questions concerning the methods employed in the fight against terrorism. Debates raged over the limits of state power in wartime. These questions challenged fundamental American principles. One contentious issue was the use of enhanced interrogation techniques by U.S. intelligence agencies. These methods, often described as torture by human rights organizations, generated widespread international condemnation and domestic controversy. Their legality and effectiveness remained hotly contested. Another point of contention was the establishment of the Guantanamo Bay detention camp. Detainees, many captured in Afghanistan, were held without charges or trial, under conditions that prompted international outcry. This facility became a symbol of the war's legal ambiguities. In March 2003, the United States and a coalition of allies launched an invasion of Iraq. This decision fundamentally shifted the focus of the war on terror beyond al-Qaeda. It ignited a new and complex front in the global conflict. The primary justifications for the invasion were Iraq's alleged possession of weapons of mass destruction, or WMDs, and purported links to terrorist organizations. Administration officials presented these claims as an imminent threat. The stated goal was to disarm Saddam Hussein's regime. However, the invasion sparked significant international controversy. Many allied nations and the United Nations did not support the military action. The absence of a clear UN Security Council resolution highlighted deep divisions on the global stage. The conflict in Iraq proved to be a protracted and costly war. The initial invasion quickly toppled Saddam Hussein's regime, but the subsequent occupation led to a violent insurgency. The absence of WMDs further fueled skepticism about the war's premise. The war had significant long-term consequences for the region, destabilizing Iraq and contributing to broader geopolitical shifts. It also profoundly impacted the United States, both in terms of human lives lost and immense financial expenditures. Its legacy remains a subject of intense debate. The events of 9/11 and the subsequent war on terror left a profound and lasting impact on the world. This period fundamentally reshaped U.S. foreign policy, shifting its priorities and approaches to global engagement. The notion of a global struggle against non-state actors redefined security doctrines. Global security dynamics were irrevocably altered, leading to new alliances and heightened international cooperation on counterterrorism. However, it also fueled mistrust and instability in certain regions. The world became a more complex and interconnected security landscape. American society, too, underwent significant changes, from heightened security at airports to debates over civil liberties. The experience of 9/11 fostered a new national consciousness, marked by a balance of vigilance and resilience. The way Americans viewed their place in the world was transformed. Ultimately, the War on Terror permanently altered the presidency, expanding its powers in national security and foreign policy. It also redefined the modern world, initiating an era where the threat of non-state actors holds significant sway over global affairs. This chapter in history continues to unfold, its repercussions still felt today,